So good evening, friends. I welcome you all. This is the second annual Alternative Futures lecture that we are having. And we started this series last year. And we have the pleasure of having with us today Professor Michel Danino. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful talk that you'll all enjoy. Let me just say a few words about this series. As I said, we started it last year. It's called Pathways to Visionary Futures. The idea is that to call people who have been thinking about our collective future, not just in India, but also for the whole world. And we all think about our presence. Maybe sometimes we also think about our individual futures. But collective futures, there are very few people who think about the collective future. And I would say that these are the modern rishis of India. And we hope to do this every year and call very deep fundamental thinkers. And I'm sure today you will have a very wonderful talk by Professor Danino. Because let me say, when he's through with the talk, you'll realize that he knows so much more about Indian culture and civilization than most of us here do. And it's so much more creditable because he was born in France and he's been living in India for the past 40 years. So I'll just say, tell you a little bit about Professor Danino, and then I'll just invite him here and ask him to begin his talk. He was born in France in 1956. He's been living in India since 1977. He's an Indian citizen. He has been awarded yesterday this year, and he has received yesterday the Padma Shri from the President. Although that did not influence our choice. We called him first, and then we heard that he has won the Padma Shri. So he's written some very important books, and quite a few more down the line are on the way in the next few years. There are two books that are available outside, in case those who want to see or buy. One is Indian Culture in India's Future. That was the book and the title that really attracted me. I looked at his work and I said, this is astounding. You know, this whole thing about we in India, in our education system, you know, we go through it, we pass out, we become adults, and we realize we have learned so little about Indian culture and civilization. So that is something he is addressing, and he's also raising this question, why that happens. Then another of his book is called The Lost River, On the Trail of the Saraswati, published by Penguin in 2010. He has lectured at many institutes in India. He has been a scholar in residence at IIT Kanpur twice. He is currently a guest professor at IIT Gandhinagar, where he has assisted in setting up an archaeological sciences center. And he has been also very actively interested in nature conservation. He has lived in the Nilgiri Hills for many years, and he has been, particularly during those years, he has been working on those issues. He has co-edited with Professor Kapil Kapoor a 2-volume textbook on knowledge, traditions and practices of India, which is a CBSE elective course for classes 11 and 12. He's a convener of the International Forum for India's Heritage, and he has been coordinating a project to produce a multimedia educational DVD on science and technology in ancient India. Since 2015, he has been a member of the Indian Council of Historical Research. So, but I'll let his ideas and words speak more than his introduction that I've given. So, Professor Danino. May I ask Aditi to hand the bouquet?
Namaste. And my thanks, first of all, to Dr. Rakesh Kapoor for inviting me to give this talk. I think we started corresponding quite a few months ago. And initially, I was a little hesitant because this is about alternative futures. And I do understand the need for deep thinking about the kind of future we are preparing for our children and grandchildren. My area of research mainly is the past rather than the future. It has been in fact, what we technically call the proto-history of India, that is to say the very beginnings, inclusive of the Indus civilization and the later phases that ultimately created the classical civilization of India. So this is my, almost daily center of interest, and therefore to draw some hints, leads, lessons from the past and project them onto the future is always a challenging thing to do. And yet we have to do that because we have nothing else to go by. We cannot start visualizing the future if we do not know what brought us to this point.